of texturing, terrain painting and a bit of planting. That video cut short. I'm not editing my videos, I'm just doing them sort of off the cuff live. So the last one ended on an hour, obviously, as it does when you're recording, so I didn't get to do the summary of what we'd done. But I might as well just carry it on as a part two and just keep doing a little bit more work to what we're doing. So we just lowered that little bit of land on the right there in the end of the previous one, and we just moved those red flowers forward a little bit more just to add that little detail in. We've got our drive now, we'll take a quick look at it. We obviously know we need to be as right of the fairway away from those bunkers to try and stay in that top tier, or we're going to kick massively left. So we've managed to stay up there now. We've got our approach into our green. It's looking fine, we can see everything. That's our approach in. That's our view back the other way. Hole one. Now we're obviously going to continue doing some work to this hole because it's not even close to being ready. I'm going to try moving one of these pines to be a bit more prominent on our drive. I want to be able to see it a little bit more from the drive. And I've got something a little bit more interesting through here. So we're going to pick another tree. I'm going to look at some different pines, so we're going to take all the placed off. You can go to species, scroll down to pine, click on that, come back out, look at the pines we've got. See if we can't get something a little bit more interesting going through there, like a different shape or something quirky looking that we might be able to stick off the end here or over here. Just gives it a little bit more character. Try that one for now. I definitely want something different in here. Something lighter coloured. I know a nice tree that might work. A black gum. So we need to reset the filter. Trees, triangle, reset. Just look at our trees. We're going to go for a black gum, which is this one. It's just a nice lighter coloured tree compared to the darker pines. Might add a little bit of character through there. Bring it to the fore, I'd like to. Just trying to create as much detail as we can in close. We can have it in a few different spots. So we twist it and make it interesting. And we need to do this area through here. I hate those white trees, so that's coming out. They draw your eye too much, especially when you're trying to make dark green textures. You've got a big white branch sticking through, I don't like that. Then I'm going to go back to the trees, what I've placed, put a pine in, another pine, different one. And one more. So here, get rid of that horrible little one I don't like. Obviously you can see what I'm pressing. I can't explain every single time what I'm pressing, but if you slow the video down you can sort of see the things I am pressing, the categories I'm going into, and just using those fillers again in the distance just to try and block in a bit more of the course. And we'll use the same technique of using the lower branches or the lower bushes all the way along there up to there. I mean, we don't have to do too much in only in areas really where the player's going to be seen. So I think this area from say here to about here, the player's definitely going to be seeing that area, so we can start filling that in with the smaller bushes. We're going to use the darker ones at the back. Bring it down to the lighter ones and finish it off with a bit of grass around the edge. Obviously you could thin this out and use mulch through here, create something colourful, like a mulch pattern going through there, like an Augusta sort of vibe, but you're going to save on your planting. I can keep the hull to around 5%. I'm pretty happy with that. Where are we going? Up here. I think we'll just finish this little bit through here and then one about there. So you can see we've filled in quite a lot there now, and we've got no real massive gaps. And using those smaller bushes now has taken away the roughness of the big branches behind of the bigger trees I use as fillers. So now to get our texture and our depth, we use a lighter bush, a bit smaller this time. Get that going along the edge in sort of different places, not necessarily all random and uniform, because we can fill most of that in with grass. Again, the grass you don't really have to do, that's just adding a little bit more detail, but it's also going to eat up your meter a lot. But again, we're only looking to use it in areas where the player's really going to see, so it's an illusion. They're getting the illusion that there is grass everywhere all around the course, but they don't have to have that grass everywhere. Just in the places they're going to be taking the majority of their shots. That'll do for that. And along this area here I'm going to put grass. I'm just going to finish off that line along there with grass now, so we'll make it a bit bigger because it's quite far back from the course. Start dropping. Now obviously grass is going to, it all depends on how far away you are with your zoom. You'll get used to doing it. If you zoom in this close and start adding grass, you're going to add tons and tons of grass in tiny little areas. You want to be about this sort of distance really, so you can get a nice bit of speed going and not add too much. You'll get used to finding the area that you want to do or that is best. So this area I'm going to fill in all these grass areas right up to the edge of the path. I'll leave that little bit blank, come along here, drop the grass down a little bit in size, just fill in these little areas around this tree. Let's have a look at where we are in relation to our player. He's going to be hitting anywhere in this region, so we really need to be grassing all the way up to say here. Just get a little bit around the tree, a little bit along the front of that, around to there. We'll just fill in that area there. Let's get this area filled in through here. Okay, and we'll put another tree up, another bush up here. So we're getting to sort of the area now where we're going to be coming to the end, where our player will be hitting into it. We're now 400 yards, so we don't need to worry too much about this area. We can leave it a little bit more, less detailed. Let's have a look from the tee. It's all started to fill in now. Now, just to break all that up, we can do the surface weathering trick again. So we're not getting it all looking the same shades with that sense of depth again. Surface weather on brush, go back to this shape here, drop that one in there. Nice big area there, nice big area here, drop it in there. One in here somewhere. Maybe something through here. Straight away we get the sense that there's a bit of depth to the whole thing now. Let's get a tree in there. Cover that up. This heavy rough and this bit here don't match very nicely in my opinion. All looks a bit too sharp and not quite right, so we'll go to our grass and we'll go spline, bring it a bit tighter, a bit zigzaggy. We need to keep a bit of heavy rough there because that is giving us our surface weathering around the path that we did. I'd take it out a little bit. That doesn't look quite right to me. I don't think the grass topsoil texture is quite right. Let's try a darker one to try and match our heavy rough. Or we can just change our heavy rough. They're matching a little bit more now. Let's try a few different. That's not bad. What I don't like is this texture here. Like I said, you'll end up playing around with your subsoils quite a lot, which is no problem at all. You'll come to a point where you think, yeah, that's perfect. At the moment, it's not. Subsoil texture 8. Just try more greedy colours. I think it's actually B, there's the one. Not too keen on those. It's definitely A, I think. Something darker. So at the moment I would say that all this stuff, it's the bedrock, isn't it, that we're looking at through there, that's causing that issue. Let's have a look at the bedrock. I like the bedrock because it matches the rock work that we've done. Let's see what we can't do with bedrock textures. Dull it down a bit. Too white. If we go darker, it's a bit too dark. Doesn't match our rock work around the pond at all. Doesn't look right. It's a little bit more subtle, isn't it? Anything we've lost through there a little bit as a bit of our path of the heavy rough. Just going to try adding a little bit of heavy rough along this path line. Let's make it slightly bigger. Just take that through that. Take it up to, say, here, see what that does. Gets our leather to look back a bit more now. Well, to be honest, they're blending a bit better now, those colours. Let's try a bedrock run through this sort of section off from here to continue that along. And then take that back. See what that does. Take that down a bit more. Definitely this one. Bit more. Like I said, it's all just playing with your intensities. Once you've laid stuff down, you can start to just blend it back in a little bit more. So you're happy that everything's looking a bit more blended and not so sharp. So you're transitioning your changes more rather than having them massively obvious. And we can create another terrain part through there. We'll try a, so that does through there. Once we lighten it off, it's just one area on that needs to be deleted to get that point. Smoothing that off a little bit more. Starting to take effects a little bit now. Certainly different from when we started. Still got this bedrock here that we can enhance again. Or have we covered it over with heavy rough? I think we've fitted a lot of heavy rough through there, haven't we? Now, once you get to grips with the textures you want to use, you won't need to use half as many as what we've used so far. This is an experimental thing for this hole. Try and work out what's working and what's not. Once we know what's working, we can just dull it down a bit and know what we want to put and where we want to put it and what textures we want to use for terrain painting in what areas. It's all still a little bit experimental at the moment. Let's have a look at our drive anyway. That's the area we're working on at the moment. We've got a nice bit of character going through there. I need a bit more surface weathering on the right on that grass where those tall trees are. And that black gum I placed, that lighter coloured tree on the right, needs to be made taller. And then that, give or take, is pretty much around that. One more thing to point out. See on the left of our tee box there, we've got that real patchy grass. What we need to do is extend that with a bit of heavy rough, and that'll make that nice neat grass around our, like it is on the right. We just need one patch that runs all the way around that tee box of heavy rough. So I'll show you what we can do there. And let's do those two things I said. So we want to raise this black gum a tad, come back, black gum move, I want it up around here, and add a bit more weather in here. So I want it to stick out a little bit more, that area there. And then I'm going to do the heavy rough spline, one all the way around, so we'll go heavy rough spline. We'll just do a rectangle all the way around, so we're evenly matched grasses all the way around the tee box, and you'll see from the drive now what that'll look like close up. You won't get all those patchy bits that we had before. So the only thing I think I'd like now is off the edge of this clubhouse, where we've got that fence there, something interesting there, maybe a small tree that, or some sort of interesting bush just fills in that little area. The left looks nice, the water looks fine in front of us. You can see our path winding up from the right there, it's flowing all the way down. We're getting the front half of the course looking a lot nicer. We'll just put something in this right hand corner here. Keep an eye on my time. $22.45. So just thinking what we could add for here. It's quite a tight little area. It's gonna have to be something different. Trees, take it off the filter, come back to here. Birches are quite nice trees for close-up work. I find they look really sharp and detailed. As long as you haven't got one that's got too much of a silvery sort of, I don't like the silvery tree trunks as much like that one. That's a pretty little tree. Let's try something else. Don't want that one, don't want that one. That's not bad. Bend it around a little bit like that. Try that in place. And just at the bottom of it we can fit a very small bush. Scroll along the bushes. Something a bit lighter in colour. See what that looks like. And then actually for a little bit of colour these bushes are quite nice to add. Just to get a bit of yellow going through there. Don't know if that's the right spot. Do one there. We haven't really got anything down this sort of part here, but we don't need to worry too much along here. We can add something just for a little bit of texture, but the player's not really going to see too much of that. Let's see what happens if we put a bit of grass down here. Might not be necessary, but it might not actually work. Taking a little bit of our bedrock sort of feature away that we put in, but we can just square it if we don't like it. Just going to take some grass down to the water's edge, fill in that little area through there. It may look a bit patchy and blocky, and just fill in little areas. And then we'll try our bushes through there. Just make them bigger because they're not really going to be close to the player's shot. I don't want to block out too much of the path, so I'm going to get a bit lower through here. Definitely a bit here. One here. And we'll put a couple of darker ones in just behind. And we'll do a bit of the surface weathering again. Put that. Put through there. Maybe one bigger one through here. I like this corner to be a bit more. Let's have a look off the tee, see what that new tree looks like next to the clubhouse. Well, we've got a lot more character going on there, haven't we? Lots of depths, lots of colours. Still a lot more work that needs to be done down the left. Didn't find that plateau that time. A fairway definitely needs splining. That was just to get the shape we wanted. We need to take all those splines out and do a re-spline on that fairway. We'll do that and another one. The only thing I'm going to look at is trying to get some taller mountains in the background as a backdrop. We'll try the middle one this time. So where we brought those trees in now, we've lost a bit of height of what we can see behind. See if that's too imposing. Just added something. It's giving us more of a sense of distance, isn't it? Just Just want one more tree behind this red bush, I think, on the left. I think that's a pretty nice view from our first tee box. I would say about here. Let's try a black gum. So they've got nice rough barks on them. About here. We'll see how that does from our tee shot. Just bring it a tiny bit more left, right, so it's in the shot, just a smidge. That'll give us a nice view of the textures of the branch of the trunk more. Don't want it encroaching too much on the actual tee shot with the overhanging branches, but I just want to see a little bit more of that trunk of that tree. That's looking fine now. It's not a bad opening tee shot. Pretty nicely balanced. See how tree lines descending as it goes down there. Just one little patch that I can see where I would like something here. I don't know if I want a smaller bush like that or something. I'll finish that off. So where our bedrock has now been cut into there, we could cut that bedrock all the way around there now. Let's do that. Let's make that match. We'll go back to terrain painting, bedrock spine, bring it around. We're just going to leave it as a single spline like that. Quite a funky shape. This bit can all be lowered. If we go to this shape, it will lower the centre and leave the outside not so affected. Just try and make that all a bit flatter through there, without affecting everything else. Get down nice and low so you can see what you're doing. Do it for a minute. Only thing I seem to have lost a bit from going through here. What have we got here? The path shapes come a bit miscued, I think. Just cut it back a bit. Getting the surface weathering going through there. I like the way that path's sort of sticking out like that. So we definitely need a heavy rough there. Spread up. If I could do anything else with that heavy rough. Just do that for a minute, that's fine. Let's just dull that down a little bit so it's not as intense. Doesn't really do much on this side. I like it a bit higher, that bedrock. I'm going to use subsoil A this time. Take it a bit higher through that. Do that. That's because I've got that big chunk of heavy rough there, I think. I'm not going to quite get that look I want through there, but that's just being really finicky and fussy for the sake of it. We're looking nice and detailed through there though now. It's got a nice bit of work going on. These edges here, these rocks, we can just use the raise tool and just take those out of the equation just by doing that. So we've got a nice smoother sort of edge to our rocks looking back this way. Again, the player's never going to see that, so it's not really necessary, but we'll do it for our own sake and learning how to blend things. That way everything will run smoother into it. It's just one more bit here. Now looking back, it'll all look a bit more smoother and natural. It's looking nice. This bit of path's dipped down a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm going to raise that back up. I'm going to do that by going to the flattening tool. We're going to come along here like that. We're going to make that stand out a bit more. We're going to raise that bit up. See what it looks like. Right, just going to join. Lift that back up a bit more. We can see a bit more of that path, and then we're going to have that little dip there, which I don't mind too much. As I said, once we've got everything smooth, we can just gently take out tiny little areas, but it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth as long as we haven't got massive bumps. That's looking pretty nice. It's just this area along here I might focus on for the rest of this video, and then I'd say we've done a pretty nice bit of work around our tee box area there. So it's quite a lot of area to fill in that one, so I'm going to use this bigger bush. I'm going to make it pretty big because, again, I can't emphasize enough, it's not in the player's view, so we can it renders well, so you can make it big. We'll just drop it into the ground there so it gets rid of that bit. And now looking back the other way, because we won't see most of this bit from the tee box now, but we'll see it looking the other way. We're going to use the lighter bush, and then in a minute we're going to go for the darker bush and cover all those areas behind this one. We'll find somewhere to take it up to, I think, at the edge of this bedrock before it changes into that rough soil there. See, I think that is the look I want off the course here. I like that. I think that would work for weathered areas. This particular area here works really nicely. So that is subsoil A. So let's try a bit of subsoil A. Let's use it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it quite a big spline. And I'm going to use it all the way along the edge here, just as an example. See what it looks like. And then I'm going to intensify that down. I think that's a nice blend in between that heavy rough going into the lighter stuff. I think that works really well. Looks like it blends a little bit better to me. So I can see that I want one bush here, just in this little area, just to close that off. See when the light's catching it this way, it looks beautiful. So maybe that we flip the light around for this first hole. See if we can't get something more interesting going on. Now we're going to use the bigger, darker bush. We're a long way from the player's shot, so we can make these nice and big. And we can fill in a huge area with that. Yeah, we've covered a lot of area there. Make sure we get this bit done around this big broadleaf up here. These are the points now where we need to blend in that big broadleaf, because it just looks silly being sunk in the ground like that, so we need to cover up all those edges. When you look at that bit of patch of land from this way, that light looks way too bright, doesn't it? No doubt. We'll keep that round there for now. That's our halfway point. I want to plant up to just for today. So along here, I think we need a bit more along here. We're going to add some grass to blend all these bits in as well, but I just want to put a little bit more through here. We're on 3.3% now. Still doing okay. Like I say, I want to keep it around 5 if I can. So, nature, grass. Make it a bit bigger. I'm just going to start working it through this little area here now. And we can do some more weathering in a bit, just to break up the colours of the green. Spin it around, whack some more in. That's quite a chunky bit of grass, but that's in an area where we're really going to be able to see stuff, so I want to put that in there. Now I'm just going to use the grass just to border the line of this basically. So it's just adding a little bit of breaking up. Let's get a little bit closer. And we'll bring it up to say about here somewhere. 3.6. Always watching the meter just to make sure what I'm doing is not going to be massively stupid in the long run. But for the detail we're trying to get on the first hole, it's working nicely at the moment. A little bit through there. Obviously I'm too far away, so I need to zoom in a bit now to get that a bit more compact, that grass. I think that'll do for that halfway point now. Now we'll just add our surface weathering just to break it all up. mind hitting a bit of the weathering on the actual course there to break up that bit of fairway there. That's actually highlighted it more really. I don't know if I'll keep that. Definitely want to get these bits brighter. Going through there and there maybe. A little bit more there. You can see we're starting to get a lot more texture to our course now. This bit through here, I think I'm going to go back to adding a bit of that subsoil A. Oops, still got a huge spline. Go take that down. So where does it start? About here. What else to say there just for now? I'd dull that down. Let's break up that little area through there now. Have a look at our tee shot. Looking pretty cool. Look about the red flowers on the left. Next thing I'm going to do is save, because I haven't saved once through this whole period. See what time the video's on. Do another 10 minutes. I want to get rid of these flowers. Not too fussed about that one there, it's out of sight. I think there's too much more I can do going through here really. Maybe add one more tree here. Don't know how well that one's going to work. We cut it into the fairway more. Add a bit of character or something, let's try it. That'll also give you something to think about if you're going to try and shape a shot. Chuck that in there. Things are starting to blend now. Let's raise that little edge up there. Let's have a look at our drive. The other thing I wanted to do was look at spinning the light, wasn't it? Let's have a look at spinning our light. So orientation. As we twist it around, let's see what interesting things happen. That's completely the other way now. And if we start adding light back in areas that we want it, I'd like to see a bit of light on that right bit there. Loads of light there. 14.4 is nice. We're back to dark again. Bit of light through there now. It's quite interesting. 90 and 14.4. 108. So 90. So look at that one, and we'll try the 14.4 afterwards. No, it's bright in nice places, but dark in places that I don't want it to be dark. So let's try the other one. Orientation on the lighting, sorry. 14.4, wasn't it? Play course. Doesn't seem to be lighting it the way it was a second ago, but that's going to change because of the clouds we're using. We're going to get different lighting shifts as things move through the course, so we'll just check it out one more time. That's the sort of thing I was looking to do, is get a bit more light on the right. Either way, it all works. We can fiddle with it more as we go. It's nothing major, but it's working. I wonder what happens if we had a little bit of haze now. Don't add too much because it takes the colours out of it. Take it completely off. It's a nice bold. Add a creep a little bit in, around 20. Let's keep it at 35. So, for today, covering those two parts of trying painting and texturing. I think you could agree I've added a lot of texture to the course that wasn't there before. Started to get our planting going, our tee box area is looking nice. We've just got to work on the second part of the fairway next, getting all the detail around the green. But it's looking pretty cool for now, so hope that helps. Play around a bit. It's no set rule to it at all, and we might even change it again at some point, but I think I found something that I like with the grass and the subsoil. Just changing the intensity of that, I think that seems to be working quite well. It's getting a nice sort of blend going, little darker patches, lighter patches, rougher patches. I don't want loads of them everywhere, but off the course to the side, getting a bit of texture there going, looks quite cool. So we'll play around a bit some more as the design goes, but for today, especially looking back, I think, let's take it back into edit course. Have a quick summary of what we've done around. We can get that upper pond looking like that one, round through there, getting all that detail and texture in around that. That'll serve us well for that hole. So we're looking pretty cool. Eventually at some point we're going to do a video where we're going to redo the fairway, redo the bunkering, and do a more advanced sort of fairway and bunkering video where we'll change the shape of the hole a little bit, keep the same sort of strategy theory, but get some more detailed bunkering going in, and really working on getting some sort of textures and stuff going to the bunkering, and redoing the fairway. I'm going to make it a bit wider in places and just reshape it nicer. But for a beginner's fairway, that's pretty cool. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will be back in the next few days, probably with a new one, and we'll look at increasing that depth of textures and terrain painting, but we'll call it a planting video where we'll just really work on a lot of planting around the hole, finishing it off really nicely with some fencing and getting it looking super smart at the other end. But I'm pretty happy with what we got down this end now. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.